Good morning, everyone. Welcome to SCube TV. We have a guest with us from Florida. She's Miss Terry Edden. She's running for state senate from District 33 in Florida. So, welcome to the show, Miss Terry Edden. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Just we want to know a little bit about yourself. I mean, your career and what you've been doing before getting to the politics, and what made you to get into the politics.
Well, I began at the age of 14 years old. My parents were in civil rights, and I've always helped people. So when I grew up and got old, I went to school to be a tax. Somehow it seems like civil rights was more befitting in some instances, and I saw the injustices that took place with individuals, and it was just like a voice crying out saying, and I found myself in this place. I found that there are some systemic problems in our communities that I feel that my background, I have a master's in public administration, a master's in managing educational programs, a bachelor's in business, over 35 years of accounting experiences. And I know that once you're in a certain seat, that you can appropriate funds within those areas that are deeply troubling. And I felt that I would be the right person to do that. In my civil rights area, I fought against police brutality measures. I fought to improve educational systems along with Reverend Jesse Jackson and the concerned citizens of certain areas to make sure our schools were receiving parity. I moved forward with dealing with healthcare reform issues. So a lot of things that I'm running on, I've actually done. And I believe that the things I've done has impacted the lives of many people. And that is the purpose of me running for this particular position.
Very nice. Okay. Nice to hear about your career from at the age of 14 and you got involved in the civil rights movement and those things. I mean, nice to hear that. Uh, and we hope that all these efforts will bring some changes in the lives of the people one day. So with that
Oh,
hope, good. Yeah. Good. Do you want to say something?
no, go ahead. I said I agree with you.
Yeah, sure. Today, the COVID-19 is, spreading all over the world, and I'm sure in US, we all know. And Florida is one of the states, where you have more number of cases and more deaths are happening right now. So, what is your view on the way the things have been handled in Florida and even in US? So, yeah, I would really appreciate your views on this. And what will you take? What kind of measures will you take if you are getting if you get elected?
Well, and as far as it relates to the COVID-19, as you said, Florida have in some cases within the state. I'm an essential worker here in Broward County, Florida, where we are a hot spot, also like Miami-Dade. And I believe that, in my mind, that the PPEs and the regard of the masking must continue to take place. I am the senator that's I would propose legislation to protect those because a lot of times with the COVID-19, they lost their insurances. Our nurses, I think they need more protection. They need more income, and everyone should be insured until they find out what this is about out here with the COVID-19. We have to do better. People that have lost their jobs. I work for the Department of Economic Opportunity, which is unemployment. And what I've done in my spare time is to help those that might not have had electronics to do the application. I made phone calls on their behalf to find out why they're not receiving their funds. I think what the governor did when it came to making sure they didn't have to meet the requirements of like job requirements and searching was a good part. But a lot of people have still not received their money. So the electronic part of it, because being in electronics, it does have glitches. I would also have implemented paper forms for individuals to fill out for their unemployment to see if that would be a faster process. So those are the things I would have done in the food supply, making sure people would have funding for themselves because their businesses didn't close because they had something to do with it. It closed because we have this pandemic here. So it's an uncertain time, and I think that we should filter monies to those that are in need of those funds to protect their home life. You have foreclosures that's taking place. People are going to be evicted in certain measures, and we have to do better. And also to protect our seniors. I have an 83-year-old mother. You can't really visit her because you don't know what you can give her. So we need to protect our seniors, even in the living facilities. I think that should be, when the employees come in, each one should be checked. They should have the necessary PPEs. Should be checked all the time, daily, because they're around those that are more vulnerable. And those are some of the changes I would like to see take place in the state of Florida.
Good to hear your views on this topic. So, I mean, you also brought up the small business, the economy, and those kind of things. So what is it happening on the ground in Florida with the small business? I'm sure. I mean, Florida being more affected mostly with the in its economy. Florida's economy is affected mostly with this COVID-19 because it depends mostly on the tourism revenue, and I'm sure. So, what is your view, and what is that you will propose in case? I mean, if once you're elected to the Senate, state Senate
Well,
in Florida.
I would have liked to have seen the small business individuals receive more grants than loans. Because I believe one of the SBAs, with the Small Business Administration, is offering loans to small businesses. Well, they have time to pay it, but I think it's still like a detriment because if they're not running their businesses at this time, how can they pay those funds back? So I would like to implement more grant for them to help them on with their businesses. Even with the tourism situation we have here, it's going to be highly affected until we get this right. Because while you're going to have the parks are closed, government, some instances, again, I'm a government employee, but I'm essential. But people are not allowed to come into our facilities as we do our job. So I would like to see some changes made in that. Just to be a little better.
Gotcha, that's nice. And you've been see the COVID-19 has brought up another during this time that we another social issue has popped up, and it's been there. I mean, but I mean, it gained more momentum right now, especially the Minneapolis. It started in Minneapolis, the Black Lives Matter movement. So yeah, I mean, and you've been talking about the criminal justice, also one of the key issues in your campaign. So, what is your view on the Black Lives Matter, and also, so what kind of criminal justice reforms would you like to see in our system?
Well, reforming the criminal justice system, I believe there must be total accountability. I would mandate, or I would like to propose to mandate that all officers wear body cam. No more with the chokehold. That would be dismissed under my administration. Processes I never have. Black Lives Matter movement, if you ask me about that, I think that was a movement where all people of all races joined hands together because of the George Floyd situation. And having been in civil rights, I did partake with them in their first march in Fort Lauderdale because it was a necessary march. Having police officers that have qualified immunity is something that I would address because I don't think a person should have that if they have done wrong, and you need to have better training. That would be mandatory. Decentralization of that. If an officer sees something wrong, I will mandate that he needs to tell. He needs to step in to make those corrective measures. Because it's not only about black people, it's all about brown people, anybody of color are being affected in that matter.
Gotcha. That's I mean, we see those the need for those kind of changes in some areas. So which you have proposed, and we will probably once you will get a chance once you get elected, and to see make some efforts to make some changes. Okay, at least I cannot say that I mean you will be able to change it drastically. I mean once you get there, but I mean, at least you can put some efforts into that. I
At
mean,
least we can propose it. At least we can
yeah, at
propose
least
it.
you
And
can
then
propose
you
it.
get to see who's against it and who's for it. So.
I agree. I agree. And again, another hot top, I mean, issue your campaign has been running or mentioning is the education. So, what is your view on the education system in Florida? I'm sure, I mean, all over the years, I mean, we are talking about the education system is not that great the way we want it. I mean, but Florida also has its own share of, I mean, and the low, I mean, not in the top list. So what is and another topic is, I mean, especially whenever we talk about education, we also talk about minority groups, especially the African American and Hispanic groups. I mean, are lagging behind in achieving the numbers or the scores what the other groups get. So, what is your view on overall education system in Florida? How do you want to see it improved? And what are the specific things you want to do for the African American community and Hispanic community for them to improve their education levels? Yes.
Well, I worked in education for approximately about 15 years, and I continued in education for the last 25 years. I started the first free reading program in an inner city neighborhood to also compact those things that we would go in. I worked with the Reverend Jesse Jackson to stop starbursting in the Broward County School System. First magnet schools here. They put them in the inner city neighborhoods as a theater to see how they were going to do before they were put in the western neighborhoods. And then our students were being bused out west, and theirs were not being bused to the east. So we fought that case and we won it. Things I would like, I've also learned I step up kids for my stance on education. That is an organization here in the state of Florida. Um, I would like to see students have more access to like books in the inner city. What I notice is have a distance. You have students in the inner city neighborhoods where a lot of them didn't have but one book. They didn't have access to taking books to their home. I want to see that changed. I see that the schools are more dilapidated. The teachers are not getting the proper training in some areas as they do in other areas. Now, when you're dealing with LTE dollar, that's the funding that the schools receive as students come to school. So the more students you have in school during that qualifying time, that is how the monies are dispersed to the neighborhood schools. Now, with the COVID-19 being in effect, I'm not advocating for students to go to school. That is not in the building, not at this juncture. I believe in hybrid, as the superintendent has stood on that. I believe in the electronic processes of them doing it like we're doing now through Zoom and remote until we find out what is going on with COVID-19. So I would stand on that. I would like to continue to see that foster itself in our communities where we protect our students and our staff because I have family that are educators. I've been an educator. I know teachers and I know students. I have grandchildren that would be affected by this. And that is not a good move at this point in time.
Very, very nice. See, I mean, I want to ask you one specific thing about these communities. I mean, the minority communities, especially the African American, the Hispanic. So, why do you think? I mean, they are trailing behind in getting the education? Is it the infrastructure, or is it the funding, or is it the lack of awareness, or the support system within the family? So what exactly is that? I mean, and what is that as a community we should do to help them move up?
I don't think it's a total lack of awareness. I think that the schools are poor, like you said, infrastructure. For instance, we have schools here in Northeast High School. You would think that's something bloated up. It is horrible, and the kids had to go in the dilapidated building. You have Stranahan High School, where bond money is supposed to be fixing those schools. You have students who are not receiving the funding that we need in the schools to probably do the proper programs that we need and the training for our ESOL students that are Spanish and what have you. They are in ESOL programs. Those programs tend to work better, but during the COVID, so probably that is something that we're watching because how are you going to get those parents to that don't know how to use the electronic, that don't understand some of them don't speak our language, that don't understand our language, and we learn the early language, they call it learning language students that we have. We need to be able to promote that better and also bring those trainers to them. But we are aware in the schools. It's just the findings and the attention that we need. The infrastructure needs to be improved as a whole.
Gotcha. So where do you get the funding for the schools? I mean, is it from, I mean, we have three, I mean, federal, state, and the local. So in Florida, especially, is it more from the state or is it more from the local? I mean, each the ratio varies from state to state. So where does the money goes to the comes to the schools?
From the federal
From
funds.
federal fund. Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay, I mean that's. I mean, hopefully things will improve. I mean, another thing is, I mean, what do you think of the criminal justice? I mean, you mentioned about it. What specific things you want to help or improve on the in the criminal justice? I know people have been, I've been talking to a few other people. They've been talking about the biased approach towards the African American youngsters in the law enforcement department is another problem. So, do you want to talk anything about that, or I mean, is it true, or what exactly do you feel to change the perspective
I would
and
like to, okay. I would like to propose a bill on direct filing of our children. Those that are minors that are being direct filed as adults. I'd like to see that change. I would like to see what we and how it works. The state, we mandate the law. The judicial system has to follow the law, but they have discretion. And I want that discretion to be utilized when it comes to arresting minorities, whether they're Black, Hispanic, or whom. They need to look at those safeguards. We have a system where we have a score sheet that is utilized when you deal with a judge, where if a person has been arrested, they go back and use that score sheet. And it's like a second penalty to me, my opinion. If they've been a returning person into the judicial system, that's what they end up looking like. Like they had 4 years here, and then they come for something like stealing a bicycle, you equate that time and you make it, it can be larger than what a normal person would actually receive. So I would like those things to be changed within our judicial system and to have more clarity when it comes to the cases that they have to be able to bring a balance. Like, for instance, you have a Caucasian child and a Black child, then why is the Black child getting more time for something that probably did on an equal basis? I would like that to be looking into the
gotcha.
task force to make sure we safeguard these concerns.
It it looks, yeah. And another thing is, I mean, moving from this topic to the other topic, especially the Florida is a beautiful state. My first job was in Florida, especially West Palm Beach and close to the Boynton Beach. I lived 1 year in Boynton Beach, close to your constituency, not exactly your constituency, but close to this place. Yeah, and natural resources are, plenty, and but at the same time, it is affected by the environment a lot too. So, what is that? I mean, what do you propose, or what is your view on the environmental topic for the flood, especially the pollution from the farmers, or global warming, which is people scientists are saying that, I mean, Miami may go underwater after a few years. I don't know, but I mean, this is what we are hearing from the other news channels or the scientists we were talking. So, what is your stand? What is that you would like to propose to help the environmental issues in Florida?
The mental issues in Florida.
No, no,
Yeah.
environmental, like, I mean, the global warming or the pollution from the
Climate change.
agriculture. Yeah, climate change. Yes, sorry, yes.
Well, I just received the endorsement from the Democratic Environmental Caucus here in Broward County. I received the endorsement a couple of days ago. I would like to do away with the fracking that is taking place in our seawater levels, the pollution of our waters, making sure that we have safeguards around that. Because if we don't do it, we're going to have a problem. We already have a problem with pollution of our waters, and dealing with the climate change. It's getting hotter. We need to put measures in place to think about that as well. The way the world is changing around, like all these different things with the heat and the drive and the pollution, dealing with the safeguards of that. That is a form of our pollution areas. And I would like to have that put in a bill to see how we can move forward to better protect our environment.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, one last question is, I mean, you're running against an incumbent. So, why do you think the people should consider you against the incumbent?
Well, I ran for the seat in 2008. So the incumbent never ran for the seat. When they gerrymandered the community, he was placed in the seat. So he has to work just as hard as I have to work. And I feel that I am the better candidate. I've been on the ground, I've been in civil rights, I've been amongst the community, I've been fighting for the rights of people in every area, civil rights, policing, environmental issues. I've dealt with healthcare, the unemployment system. I worked there, the judicial system. I'm employed there, so I understand what people need uh, from day one. And I believe that I believe that even though the Republicans hold the House and we don't, that I can build a consensus with that group, how to get some of my bills passed. And that is why I feel I'm the better candidate to move forward for the people.
Very nice to hear that. So, any other topic you want to bring up or you want to talk about?
That's it.
Okay. Any message you want to give to your constituents, the audience?
I'm Terry Ann Williams Edden, and I'm running to be the next lady. to District 33 in the state of Florida, asking for your vote as well as your support and get out to the vote right now because the election ends on Tuesday. The polls are open and we're asking you to move forward and get out and vote.
I mean,
And
if
thank
they
you.
want to reach out and be part of your campaign, I mean, how can they reach you? Like, where's your website? Do you want to share any of those
I have
details?
a phone number. I have a phone number they can call 754-368-4485, and we're looking for volunteers to help with the campaign as we move forward this weekend.
Thank you very much for coming on the show, Miss Terry Edden, and wish you all the best in your run. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Have a nice day. Rest of the day.